Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you to the councillors and officers who've come online to join today's virtual meeting. Please be aware that the council is recording this meeting and this will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Can I please just ask that you all ensure that you're muted at this point in time, and then we will then prompt speakers to unmute themselves one at a time after they've signalled they're requested to speak and are called to speak. This is to ensure that we can hear speakers clearly with minimal background noise. You'll probably hear my clock going off every quarter of an hour, and I apologise for that, but there's not a lot I can do about that. As chair, I will be leading today's meeting. The host, who is a council officer, Georgia, will be providing the technical support and logistics to help the flow of the meeting. If you have any technical problems during the meeting, please use the chat function to flag this up to the host. No public participation, so we can go over that. Anybody who wishes to leave the meeting, could they wait until the end of an agenda item and then let the host know that they wish to leave? If you want to rejoin through the meeting, you join in the Zoom waiting room and then be let into the meeting by the host at the next available point of the meeting. I hope that won't apply to us, particularly as we're all involved in this particular activity. I trust that all councillors have read the taking part in a Zoom meeting instructions. Just like to summarise some key points. As chair, I will lead the meeting through the agenda as normal. Councillors must still give apologies or make declarations of interest in the usual manner. Councillors wishing to speak should indicate this in the chat box, and if they have video feed, also raise their hand in the video feed. If you are speaking about an item on the agenda, can you please tell us which page number and item number that you're talking about, because otherwise it's rather difficult to follow the trend of each individual agenda item. But some of them have got quite a long number of pages. When voting, the host will call out names in order and council should respond with their vote. These votes will not be recorded unless requested by a councillor in the usual manner. To all present, please remember to show respect to others in the meeting and avoid interrupting where possible to enable others to follow the meeting. If any councillor feels concerned about any aspect of the meeting or discussion, please unmute yourself and clearly state point of order, and the chair will then gesture for you to elaborate. Please do remember to check regularly that you're muted on your screen, as it will help hugely in the running of the meeting. Anyone present felt to be behaving unacceptably will be ejected from the meeting by the chair, usually back into the Zoom virtual waiting room. I'm sure that's not going to happen this evening. Just a reminder to you all that holding virtual meetings is a new approach for the council, and therefore we will need to show patience and flexibility while we all get to grips with this meeting format. I think we're probably getting quite professional at it now. We've had quite a few Zoom meetings, and I think they're going quite well as far as I can see. So, if we go back onto the agenda, item 1 was apologies for absence and declaration of substitute members. I think Richard Morland has apologised. Anybody else?
Yeah, that's
no,
just Councillor Morland, as far as we're aware.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Morland, yes, I've got to remember which meeting I'm in, how friendly I can be. Okay, item 2, disclosure of interest. To deal with any disclosure by members of any disclosable pecuniary interests and interests other than pecuniary interests as defined under the Seaford Town Council Code of Conduct and the Localism Act 2011 in relation to matters on the agenda. Anybody? No? None. Okay, thank you very much. There's no public participation. Okay, we go on to item 4. So we're on to this huge wad of notes now. And item 4 is to consider the report 2520, informing the committee of the review of earmark reserves, pages 9 to 11. And on that one, the committee is recommended to recommend to full council, who, by the way, make the final decision, that the balance of EMR 334 Seaford Head Nature Reserve and 355 the Seaford App are transferred back to the General Reserve. That the balance on the Capital Receipts Reserve is used to fund any capital expenditure in the year. That any remaining balance on EMR 365 is returned to the General Reserve when the pump house is complete. I think we're at tender stage at the moment, so we're not quite sure what the final cost is going to be. So let's hope it's going to be lower than we anticipated. Okay, so they're the three recommendations. Any questions at all on that particular item? No? Okay, well, we're recommended to recommend, so we need a vote on that. If we could get somebody to propose that we accept the three recommendations. Yes, Councillor Meek, and seconded by Councillor Walraven. All those in favour? Yes. Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? Okay, that's carried. Thank you very much. Back to the agenda. Item 5, financial appraisal to consider report 2020, informing members of the council's current financial position on pages 12 to 16. Okay, and this one is to inform members of the council's current financial position. Two recommendations. They're marked 2 and 3 actually, but I think there's 1 and 2, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, 1 and 2. Recommended to council that all projects are ceased for the year 2020-2021 unless funding can be sourced. Otherwise, note the report. I mean, this is an obvious move at the moment with corona, you know, with this virus thing and everything else. Our income has dropped considerably. We're not in the best of financial positions. We're not the only council in the country that's in that position. I should think there are several thousand more that are in the same situation. And really, we can't afford at the moment to go forward with projects. I know that in community services next week, the community services officer is putting forward a list of priorities for them to consider. So really, we perhaps have to wait for that report as well. So any questions on that at all, please? We are doing well. No? Okay,
I've got a question.
Yes, Jean. Sorry.
I just wanted to clarify the wording of it. What we're saying is that we cancel all projects, but if some funding comes on stream, which meant one could go ahead, we would then reconsider that at the time. So we're not blocking everything. We're just saying if it occurs and we could do something, we could make that decision later. I
think that's absolutely right. I mean, it says to recommend that all projects are ceased for the year, not cancelled, and unless funding can be sourced. So if we get some funding coming in, for instance, lotto funding for the Martello toilets, and that project would go ahead.
Right.
Hopefully, yeah. Fingers crossed. After how many years now? 4 years or something like that. We've been trying to get that done. Yeah, so that's the situation. Any other questions? No?
There's Councillors Honeyman, sorry, with a question.
Yeah, I can't see. Yes, Councillor Honeyman. You're muted. Can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, it's Count. Okay, you have a question?
No, I have no questions.
No,
it's just
right.
going to.
That's Councillor Honeyman. We can't hear.
All right, sorry. Yeah.
It's all right. I can see you speaking, but I can't hear you.
I think he must have some kind of problem because it's showing him as unmuted on the list. Okay. So it must be on his actual machine.
Councillor Honeyman, at the bottom left of your screen by your mute button, there's a small arrow which creates a list that comes up. There should be an option to test your microphone. If you open that, I think there's a button you can then press just to test your speaker and microphone, because I think it's on your device rather than Zoom.
Could Councillor Honeyman put the question in the chat box?
Yes, can you type it into the chat box? If you can hear us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Hi.
Right. Okay.
We've pulled the speakers out.
Okay.
Right.
Well, my question, Councillor Brown, is there isn't much commentary about the staff situation, obviously, in relation to furlough ceasing in October. Obviously, if there's no projects happening, is this going to be dealt with in a different sort of meeting? We obviously don't want to talk about the staff situation in this particular one, or is that being looked at carefully anyway?
I think the best person to answer that properly is Georgia.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, so we are obviously just monitoring things on a constant basis, really, with furloughed staff and what we're going to what the plans are, say, over the coming months. We've got a meeting to sit down next week and just look at things properly as they are gradually reducing the furlough scheme and just look at the impacts of that. And of course, we'll we'll update councillors as and when we're able to, and just keep looking at the options that are available to us. Hopefully, all will go well and the income streams will come back up. And yeah, with the furlough scheme coming to an end shouldn't be a problem, but we are looking at it. Yes, is the answer.
Thank you very much for that.
Can I just point out that the Chancellor did say in his budget, his mini budget, that he would give £1,000 for those employers that kept on people that have been furloughed. Would that apply to us, Georgia?
Yeah, we had a brief look at that this morning, actually, and kind of a rough estimate is that we're hoping we may be able to claim £15,000. But obviously that depends on a few factors and wouldn't be until February anyway. But, so hopefully it should be a significant sum of money to come to the council in February.
Okay, any more questions at all? Okay, well, we've got the two recommendations. Recommend to council the projects are ceased for the year 2020-21 unless funding can be sourced, and otherwise note the report. So can we have somebody to propose that we accept that? Councillor Warren, seconded.
I'll second it.
That's Councillor. Thank you. All in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. The next item is item 6, the finance reports, and that they're on pages 17 to 22. So if we can turn those up. Okay, this is item 6A. And it's to advise the Committee of Receipts, Payments and Bank Reconciliations for November, December 2019 and January 2020. They've been slightly delayed because of various factors, but they're now under control. There are 6 recommendations. To note, as previously reported, a Co-op bank balance brought forward from October 2019 is 92,425.97. To note, the November 2019 total receipts of 177,962.55 and total payments of 149,407.13, leaving a balance to carry forward of 65,838.08. Getting there. To note, the January 2020 total receipts of 130,851.77, total payments of 161,972.42, leaving a balance to carry forward of 34,717.43. To note, as previously reported, that the CCLA investment account balance brought forward from October 2019 is 825,000. To note that a total of 200,000 has been transferred from CCLA investment account into the Co-op bank from 1st of November 2019, leaving a balance to carry forward of 625,000 as at 21st of January 2020. Any questions, please, on that particular item? I mean, it is a bit historical now. So, no questions? No? Okay. So we've got a recommendation. So we need somebody to propose that we accept that report. Yes, Councillor Raven, seconded. Somebody to second, please.
I'll second that for you.
Yeah, thank you very much. All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, that's carried. I've got to find my agenda. Dropped it on the floor. Okay, item B of that report, which is on pages 23 to 32. Have you all got a copy of this report in front of you? Yes? Yeah. Okay. This one is to inform members of the income and expenditure from 1st of April 2019 to 31st of January 2020 compared to the annual budget. And here you're recommended to approve the report. There's a huge amount of data in here actually. So if anybody's got any questions on that at all, I'd like to. Yes, Councillor Meek.
I just wanted to question. I know it's not known what the possible professional fees are going to be in item 4155 in those notes. Sorry, I don't have the page number, but it's under professional fees.
Yeah. And
it says it's 41155. Do we have any idea what the likely fees? I know we can't talk about the ongoing situation, but I mean, are we talking £50,000? Are we talking £100,000? Does anyone have any idea?
Can I make a comment? Can I just say, I think, Councillor Meek, that this report is actually to do with the figures for last year, and I think you're questioning figures for this year. Is that correct? This is a report that should have actually gone to FMGP before the crisis. And it's actually considering up to January last year, or January at the beginning of this year, should I say, the last financial year.
Oh, thank you, Karen. Thanks, Chair. Sorry, I'm.
No, it's all right. Fine. You know, if we don't ask questions, then we don't get the answers that we want, do we? So you know, it's quite healthy. Any other questions at all on the report? No. Could we have somebody propose that we approve the report? Councillor Raven, and seconded. Come on, guys, step up. Somebody second it, please.
Councillor Borman is second.
I haven't got you all on my screen, so yeah, Councillor Borman. Okay, all those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much. And we go on to item C of this report, which is on pages 33 and 34. Coming up. This is a very similar report actually, receipts, payments and bank reconciliation for February, March, April and May 2020. To advise the committee of receipts, payments and bank reconciliations for February, March, April and May. Do you want me to bring out all the figures again, or are you prepared to accept them as they are? Okay, thank you. Again, you know, it shows us our financial position. And are there any questions on that particular report? It's very similar to the last one. None at all? So there are 7 recommendations in there, which you can all see. So can we ask somebody to propose that we accept those recommendations? Yes, Councillor Cash, thank you very much. Somebody to second it? Councillor Meek. All those in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Okay, that's carried as well, thank you. And then item D, which goes on to page 35 to 50. Right, to inform members of the income and expenditure 31st of May 2020 and highlight significant variances from budget. And you're recommended to note the report. You can see the information there. And again, there's quite a lot of information in the report itself, mostly financial. Are there any questions on that particular report? No.
Sorry, Councillor Honeyman.
Councillor Meek's question comes in, Chair.
I can't see, I'm sorry. Who is it? Councillor Honeyman, was it?
Yes, sorry, Councillor Honeyman.
Yeah, okay, Councillor Honeyman.
Hello, thank you, Chair. It was just a question on page 48. I probably should know the answer, but I just wanted to check because they've used the word. It says in 1053 income grants, the income showing in this account relates to the furlough grant received. I probably should know the answer to this, but I just want to check because it's used the term grant. Do we have to pay this back, or is this obviously what the government's been doing?
I think it's a government grant. Perhaps Lucy can answer that.
Yeah, this is actually what we've been awarded. We don't have to pay this back.
Right. It's just using the term grant always thinks you've got to pay it back.
Yeah, it's rather confusing, isn't it? Yeah, it should be. Okay, any other questions at all? Okay then, so you're recommended to note the report.
Chair, I think
I'm sorry, yeah.
Karen was suggesting that my previous question about the Appendix B, and that I was asking about the professional fees which would come into this year's budget.
Yeah, yeah.
Does anyone have any idea what the liability might be this year for these ongoing professional costs which are still in process of going through?
I think Karen would be best to answer that one.
At the moment, no, is the first answer. We spent 11,000 so far. We're hoping it won't go above 15. But it's, you know, at this point in time, we don't actually know.
Sure.
What happens in the year.
Yes,
Can I come back, Chair, please?
Yes, please do.
But that's nothing to do with severance pays or compensation payments, is it?
No.
That's purely no.
Fees. It's to do with any HR advice, solicitors' fees, anything like that that the council might need during the year.
I think we're not going to know the full cost of that until probably next month. So, you know, then we perhaps have some figures that we can let people have. Okay, so any other questions, please, on the report? I only get a bar across the top of my computer. It doesn't show all the councillors, unfortunately. So I'm at a disadvantage here.
Sorry, Chair, you've got Councillor Honeyman with a question again.
It's Councillor Honeyman.
Sorry, just one more on page 50. Have we had any more luck about the election cost breakdown that we were going to make inquiries about?
Yes, we have.
Yes, Lucy.
Yes, we have. I actually spoke to Kim Bryce today, and she's told, well, it wasn't Kim Bryce, it was a senior finance officer at Lewes District Council, and she said that they'd made a mistake and they were very apologetic and they coded it incorrectly. And although she hasn't given me the exact figure at the moment, it's looking to be about 4,500. So that's good news.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
And you know, sometimes you have to question these decisions that are made by other people, and in this case we've been very successful. Well done, Lucy. Okay, any other questions at all? Could I have somebody to propose that we accept this report? We recommended to review and approve the, no, that's not it. We accept this report. Yes? Somebody propose it? Councillor Walraven, somebody to second it? Councillor Borman, all those in favour? Anyone against? No. Any abstentions? None. Okay, that's approved. Okay, now we've got item 7, Council Direct Debit Report, which is on pages 51 to 55. And here we've got to review and approve the council's current direct debit list. To review and approve the council's, okay, we said that once already. And what this does, it lists all the payments that we make, then kind of rolling on payments every month, every year on the direct debit account. So you can see them all listed there, and you can see what they're all for. So it's quite an exhaustive list. And again, I think Lucy put this together, so thank you for that. Any questions on that list at all? Councillor Meek.
I just wanted to voice my incredulity that the electricity bill at the Golf and the View is £1,500 a month. That's just for electricity. I mean, maybe I'm naive, but that just seems a vast amount. It's like 18,000 a year.
Yeah, it is. It is very high for the view. But, yeah.
Is there a particular reason for that? I mean, you know, presumably we have electricity saving devices wherever possible, but that seems a vast amount of money. Is it just, I'm maybe not used to what commercial premises cost.
Well, it is a commercial. It is a commercial kitchen, isn't it? You know, and it's running sort of what, 12, 15 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's using quite a lot of electricity. I think that most of it is probably upstairs in the view. However, Lucy, did you want to say something on that?
It is for the view, well, it's for the whole building, but obviously mainly for the view, and with the functions and things like, yeah, it's just. I mean, it does seem to go more in the summer when there's when there's more people there. Obviously, it's higher, but that is about an average cost. Lately, the last couple of months, it won't be that much because there's not been anyone there. But yeah, it's, I'm afraid it's quite a.
There will still be a cost though, because the golf club's been open, so, and the maintenance people have been in, so there will be some cost, but it won't be as high. Councillor Borman, you had a question.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's regarding the water payments, because if you look at what you're paying out quarterly and then look at what's budgeted for, so some of them are like £8,000 for the year, but the payments are like £143 for a quarter, and I can't work out how they're working out. Should that be monthly payments?
The water bills, they're very difficult at the minute. Castle Water keep changing the periods that they're charging us for. So sometimes it's been monthly, and then they say it's 3 monthly, and it's quarterly and 6 monthly. So there's not always, although I've put here it's quarterly, it's not always like that. They do back us about quite a bit. So I must admit, they are very difficult to deal with, Castle Water. So it's what, yeah. But that's.
I think
yeah.
The bill will probably go down, won't it, once we get the pump on stream and everything? Surely it will decrease, or is that just water used in the view?
Are you? I don't know which one you're talking about, Liz. Is it just the view, or is it all of them?
Well, is it the whole?
The recreation grounds. If you look at what you're paying, some are 6 monthly or quarterly. Whereas if you look at the budgeted for the annual amount, it's like hugely different if you added the totals up.
Also, the budgets, they're related to different periods to what we've been paying on. So on the budget, it relates to last periods, because when they invoice us, their periods that they're invoicing us for vary quite a lot as well. So it has been very difficult to try and budget for that for this year. So it is a difficult thing to sort out the minute, but hopefully over the next sort of year or so, now they've changed their periods again, hopefully it should get back in sync.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Karen?
Can I comment, Chair, that would it be more useful information for councillors if next time we brought this list, although we told you that normally it's billed quarterly, if we gave you an annual figure?
Well, it'd be okay with me. I don't know about the rest of the councillors. If you're okay with that? An annual figure? Would that be predicted, or would it be as used?
We could give you the annual figure that was last year and adjust it for anything that we know that is different.
Right.
Like, for instance, when the pump came online, the water bills went down significantly. So if we knew something like that, then we'd amend it. But other than that, if we gave you what was spent last year, it seems a feasible thing to do.
But that would include before the pump house came on, wouldn't it? Before the water borehole. So no, that might be significantly higher.
That's what I mean, Chair, that if it was for, we won't be bringing this again anyway for another year.
Okay.
So next time we'll just bring you a whole year of what we're likely to spend, rather than quarterly, monthly, because as Lucy said, we have actually known Castle Water bill us for 15 months.
Yeah.
And then they give you a credit note for that amount, and it's very difficult to know where you are with them. and all councils that are with Castlewater are having this problem. We've actually just got a refund back from them because they've overcharged us so much.
Okay, so everybody happy with that, Councillor Meek?
I was just going to say, would it be good to change supplier?
Something that we are going to look at when we've got more time, Councillor Meek. Absolutely, definitely. I would like to do that.
Good idea. Okay, so any other questions on the...
Yes, please, Chair.
Yes, Councillor.
Have we got solar panels or anything like that at the View? I mean, how energy efficient is the building in itself? And should we start to consider that if our electricity bills are so high? It must be in a position to get the excellent solar light there.
I could jump in with an answer here if you'd like.
Yep.
Sorry,
Thank
Chair.
you.
I know this was an option that we looked at because obviously it is, you know, it seems obvious that we could have solar panels. The problem we have is with the design of the building and that the roof couldn't actually take the weight of solar panels. So we looked into this, I think it was about 3 years ago now, and we worked with a company to look at the options that were available, and we just couldn't find something that would work because of the design. So that's why we've gone for the green roof on top instead.
I think when the building was originally designed, it was made as sort of proof as we could get it, you know, against the environment and that, but it's in a very difficult position and there's an awful lot of glass around it, which is not actually all that energy efficient. Yes, Councillor Meek, you have another question?
I was just going to add to that. Surely we could consult with Avesco, because you don't actually have to site them on the roof. They could be sited, you know, beyond the car park on that bit of ground that's just over the brow of the car park, or it doesn't have to be on the building itself. So I wonder, it might not be the right place to be voicing this, but it might be consideration that we could investigate that a bit, because I think that Councillor Cash has got a very good point, that we could possibly reduce our bills that way.
I seem to recollect that there was an investigation took place putting the solar panels on the small hill beside the View. I'm not sure what happened to that one, but I remember it coming up in golf and the View Committee.
You know, another kind of sticking point as well is obviously because it's within the South Downs National Park. Yeah. It's about, I can see Councillor Walraven nodding there, I'm guessing that was your comment. It's about getting their permission with what we do, because we struggled so much with the design and the build of the View and getting their permission on that. So I think the process isn't quite as straightforward as we'd hoped it would be to get solar panels. But I don't know, Councillor Walraven, if you had something else, because obviously you were here when we went through all of this.
Okay.
No, I think you've more or less covered what I was going to say. I mean, whatever we do up there, it would have to go to planning because of the position of it being in South Downs National Park and the sensitive area it's in. So anything we do, but you know, we can try, you know, but it's you know, it will have to go for full planning.
Yes, it will, won't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be. Sorry, Chair. I think if we're 3 years on and we've got time this year to look at how things have changed in 3 years, and with a new way of looking at the green economy, I think it might be an appropriate time to maybe look and see what's available now. And the South Downs National Park, I think, must be looking at these areas too in all their plans. So it might be worth pursuing if someone would take that up, I think.
Okay, well, I wouldn't disagree with that at all. You know, yes, I think it's probably an ongoing thing that we'd be looking at anyway through the officers.
Yes.
The council. Any more questions? Okay, so we're recommended to review and approve the council's current direct debit list. If I could have somebody to propose that we accept that. Councillor Walraven, anybody to second it? Councillor Honeyman, all in favour? Yes. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Can't see any. That's carried. Thank you very much. So we go on to the next item. Is the bad debt policy review, and the policy's been reviewed. That's on pages 56 to 58. and it says here to present a reviewed bad debt policy for recommendations to council to approve. It's been reviewed as part of the policy schedule, and there looks at the moment like there are no required changes to the policy, so it's exactly as it was previously. So we're to recommend to full council adopt the bad debt policy as presented with report 154/19 V2. Any questions on that at all? And it's quite a comprehensive policy actually, and I think it's working very well at the moment. I'm sure Lucy would agree with that. You know, and we do everything we can to get back any bad debts and everything. And you know, there's a policy. So any questions on the policy at all? None. Okay. So recommend to full council adopt the bad debt policy as presented in the report. Can we have somebody to recommend that we accept that? That's Councillor Cash, and somebody to second it. Councillor Borman. All those in favour? Anybody against? You were in favour, Councillor Honeyman? Yes, okay. Oh, sorry, you were a bit. I was just come to where you were and you still had your hand up. So, any abstentions? None at all. Okay, that's carried. Thank you. We now go on to item 9. Consider report 159/19 V2 to present a review of purchasing order and payments of goods and services policy, and that's on pages 59 to 71. This report's by Karen. To present a revised purchase ordering and payment for goods and services policy for recommendation to council to adopt, and that's report 159/19 V2. Karen, do you have anything to say on this at all?
I'm just pleased to answer questions, Chair.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Reid.
It's a question I raised with Karen a while ago about energy efficiency and environmental sustainability in our purchasing considerations, because once we've bought the thing, and we've been talking about the view being expensive to run because of the things we bought, I wonder whether one of our prime considerations in our purchasing decisions or our procurement decisions could be a weighting for energy efficiency or environmental sustainability.
It's Karen.
I think, Chair, that this policy is more about purchase ordering and payment for goods and services, whereas I think what Councillor Reid is concerned about would come under a purchasing policy. So trying to purchase greener items, which is something that we can look at when we're renewing our energy sources in the future. We can keep that in mind.
Okay, you okay with that, Councillor Reid?
I'm okay with that.
Any other questions at all on this policy? None at all? Okay, do you have somebody to propose that we recommend to full council to adopt the revised purchasing ordering payment policy? Yes? Anybody? I can't see any hands up. Councillor Walraven. Seconded. Councillor Honeyman. That's Olivia Honeyman. All those in favour? Welcome back, Nazish. Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? Okay, that's carried. We're getting there, aren't we? Right, the next one is the item number 10, is the Mayor's portfolio. And this was delegated to Finance and General Purposes in the scheme of delegation on paragraph 226. So it is now the responsibility of Finance and General Purposes Committee. There's been quite a few comments, I think, on this one. We start on page 72. And to consider the motion received to include in the Mayor's portfolio that to be eligible for stand for election of Mayor, the member of the council is required to have at least 1 year's experience of being a council member, except for the unusual event that an election of all 20 members of the council are new. We recommend full council adopt the revised Mayor's policy, and in addition to that we had a email put out by Georgia today, which contains some other considerations in the about the mayor's portfolio, which really were kind of a way of dusting it up a little bit. I don't think there's anything too controversial in there, so I'll take questions on that. Everybody's ready, I hope. Yes, Councillor Walraven first.
Thank you, Chair. Just really some tweaking of it, really, because I think one of the points I raised has been covered in the document that Georgia has issued today. But on, where are we? I'll get there in a minute. On page 79, it's about the the paragraph before item 13 on that on gifts. The paragraph before on the mayor's allowance. It says on occasion the mayor may be invited to go out of town to engagements. It is expected that the mayor would use their own personal funds to attend. I think there should be an exception because sometimes the mayor has to go a fair distance from the town, and as us councillors can claim travel expenses if we go outside the town, I don't see why the mayor can't. But I think, like, you know, if you want to do it within outside of the Lewis district area, but I mean, you know, when you're going to places like Arundel and Chichester and the other way, Bexhill and beyond, and to the north of the county, it can get quite expensive. I mean, when you are there, as Mark can clarify, is that you know, you are out of pocket. I mean, we don't claim for everything, but I do think travelling expenses to certain areas, I think we should be, the mayor should be able to claim for, and especially if we have a mayor in the future who probably can't afford everything, but and I think they should still have the honour of being there. And it's an important, you know, important point. You know, it should be an option if you can claim or you can't, or you don't. So that's that one. And on page 81, on Forces Day, can that be rewritten as though it's the last Saturday in June, because that is always the day. It's always the last Saturday in June.
It does say in late June annually.
Yeah, but it is specifically the last Saturday. And then the third paragraph on armed forces. It's also generally good practice for them to stay. You should stay because you're usually entertaining important guests from outside our town, so you're really sort of hosting it. And Remembrance Sunday, I think Seaford Town Council shouldn't be crossed out because it's not the Royal British Legion who actually organise it wholly, because the Town Council has to do the road closures and everything. So I think that should stay in. And the other remembrance is the Commonwealth Remembrance on the Tuesday after Remembrance Sunday, which the Mayor usually attends.
That's at the cemetery.
Other than that, I think I don't think I have any other additions. Thank you.
Yeah, with those amendments, Georgia.
Yeah, I think, Chair, just one thing with regards to the Mayor's allowance and just the travel expenses. I think maybe we could just put a line in that paragraph to say that obviously the Mayor is able to claim travel expenses in line with we have a policy that covers that, which is the members' allowance policy. So that sets out how to claim your travel expenses. So we could just add in a little, a few words there.
That be all right, Councillor Ward-Raven?
Yes, yes, that's fine.
Okay. We had somebody else asking questions. Somebody else put their hand up, I think.
We've got Councillor Honeyman there, sorry.
Oh, Councillor Honeyman, yeah, I can see you now. Yes, please, Olivia.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of points. I wanted to reiterate Linda's point that she's made about personal funds. I do know someone a couple of years ago who thought about standing as mayor, but said, I can't afford to do this if I have to then dip into my own funds. So I do think that's an issue, especially if you have to go off a distance, which obviously Councillor Ward-Raven's already brought up. The other thing I wanted to bring up about the fact it says that the mayor should have had at least 1 year's experience. I do know when I first became a councillor, the mayor who was elected then hadn't been a councillor previously, so hadn't been a councillor beforehand, but was elected straight away in as mayor.
Right.
So that has happened previously. That's just.
Yes, I'm sure that you're right there, but I think what we're doing is we're kind of looking to the future and see how we can get the best value out of the mayor's position itself. And ideally, they should have a little bit of experience of council matters, you know, before standing up for mayor. And it helps whoever's taking on that position as well as having that kind of background experience, you know. So perhaps it's a good idea. Yes, Councillor Richard Honeyman, you had a.
Just following on that, Chair. So so the proposal, and I noticed Councillor Bourne's there anyway. If a councillor has had experience from another council, for example, or so been a councillor elsewhere, or been a councillor in a principal council, maybe in Lewis or East Sussex or something, and they just happen to be part of Seaford, then that'd still be acceptable. You wouldn't have to do the year experience with Seaford.
Well, I think that would probably be sensible if they've got previous experience. I think we're asking for, does it say previous experience in Seaford Town Council? I don't think it says that, does it? It says previous experience. Councillor Cash. You're muted.
I'd like to speak against this proposal. I think if a councillor has been properly elected by the electorate of Seaford and they have taken the view that they have the experience and qualities they need to represent them on the council, that they should have the right, as everyone else has, to stand as mayor if they feel they have the qualities which is needed for the job. If they're also properly nominated by other members of the council and therefore they've already reviewed what they could offer. We shouldn't vote on the experience alone that a candidate has, but how suited that person is to do that job. And we should take every element of their personality and character into account, including their experience, of course, if we wish to do so. But by writing something in here, which anyway would only have relevance in 1 year in 4, I think is an unnecessary complication. If we think a person is experienced and well qualified to be our mayor, they put themselves forward, they're properly nominated and seconded, then they should have the right to stand if they've been properly elected. And I think this is just a complication which is unnecessary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else like to speak on this matter at all? No? Okay, I think at this stage I'd ask the post officer to call out the list of names so that people can vote for or against this motion. So would that be the way forward? Everybody happy with that? Yes?
Can I just clarify before you do the vote then? Are you taking the policy with the inclusion of the motion, or do you want to vote on the motion and then vote on the recommendation to council to adopt the policy?
We're taking the policy with the changes that have been recommended, all of them.
So that's including.
Right. Everybody happy with that?
No, I'm not happy with that.
Sorry?
I think we need to separate that motion out from the rest of the documents, which I can understand. I've listened to what Councillor Walraven has said about changes that she thinks are needed or not, and they seem very sensible. That one in particular is something that I don't want to dismiss the whole thing for the sake of one motion that's put forward, and suggest that we take that separately, please.
Georgia, some advice on that.
I think, so really you've got a proposal there to take the items separately, so maybe if you look for a seconder for that proposal, so I can see you've got Councillor Honeyman there
Yes.
seconding, so then if we take those two separately.
Okay, so if we take the first proposal, that we're looking at the year's experience as documented in this in the Mayor's portfolio, so if we could take a vote on that one, if George would like to.
Yeah, of course. So I'll just read down through the list then. If you could just say for, against or abstain. So that's to have the motion regarding the 1 year's experience included in the policy. So Councillor Adil.
Against.
Councillor Borman, Liz Borman.
For.
Councillor Mark Brown.
For.
Councillor Jean Cash. Oh, sorry, you're on mute.
Against.
Thank you. And Councillor Richard Honeyman.
Against.
Councillor Olivia Honeyman.
Against.
Councillor James Meek.
For.
Councillor Rodney Reed.
For.
And Councillor Linda Walraven.
For.
Councillor Edson.
I thought Councillor Edson was here as a spectator.
Are you?
The thumbs up.
Oh, that's why you're not been voting. I wonder why you weren't putting your hand up. Okay, so where do we stand?
So that was 5 for and 4 against.
So the motion
is carried.
Motion's carried. Okay, the second motion is to accept the changes that have been put, the recommendations for changes that have been put forward for the Mayor's portfolio. So is there anybody, I don't know whether we need to record that vote, we need the names, and we just a show of hands. Yes, is everybody okay with that? So all those in favour, please. Anyone against? I can't see anybody against. Any abstentions? No, so that's carried. Okay, thank you all very much. At this stage, we would exclude the press and the public, except that there aren't any, but we do need to have a vote because it's on the agenda. So if somebody like to propose that we exclude the press and the public at this stage, it's purely cosmetic. Yes, Councillor Reid. Somebody like to second that? Councillor Walraven. All in favour?